statue of the city god. My name is Dan Nott. Living in the US, I am an artist and a writer. Taxi. I've been on a plane for like 20 hours. This is my first time in China. And my first time in Shanghai. Butterfly. I'm paying with Alipay. I'm in Shanghai this week to attend the International Literary Week. This is my book, Hidden Systems. Lots of other people taking pictures and videos here. And we're going to travel around the city. I was given these glasses. It will translate. It just has like a little movie. We're going to go to some parks. Very, very hot today. We're going to eat some food.
Trying hot pot.
There's a robot cat trolling the restaurant. Yeah. And I'll show you the view. There's so many things that would be fun to draw, like, and see what's here in Shanghai. So far, I've been here for a couple of days, and I've been really amazed at the scale of the city and how much is just going on here. Today, I'm excited to go to our first stop, which is the Yuyuan Gardens. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to just seeing the different plants and wildlife in this city, as well as what else the city has to offer. Okay, so to get to our first place, we're going to be taking a taxi. So we are in a cab right now, and we're going through the Bund, which I think we'll be visiting later. Been here a couple days, and it's really beautifully lit up at night. I think we'll be stopping by there later. Now we are approaching the garden. And now we're walking into the garden. So this is Yuyuan Gardens. It was constructed during the Ming Dynasty, and I'm told that Yuan means garden, and the name also means peace. One of the fun things that I've noticed about the city so far is that on one block you have like really new buildings. It seems like a lot of the most giant buildings in Shanghai were constructed in the last like 30 years or so. But then there's still this like really cool history that you can see in the architecture all around. Another thing that I've noticed here is there is so much food, and some of it is familiar to me living in the US, but a lot of it is totally new. My friend Fan here is going to take me into a candy store. So even though I just had breakfast and am definitely not in the mood to eat a bunch of candy, it is really pretty and very colorful.
It's called 蝴蝶丝
Butterfly cake. Now we're coming into a different part of the garden. Looks like there's some water and bridges over here. It's actually a little less crowded than I thought, but that's also because it's probably the middle of summer in Shanghai and it's very hot. I've actually found that most people seem to come out at night, especially because everything is lit up so nicely. But here we are at the water. And it's cool that in the background of this ancient garden, you can see Shanghai Tower. I'm looking for a place to sit in the shade now so that I can do some drawing. I think I found a good place in the shade here to sketch, and it's a very nice view. So I brought a little pen and a notebook with me, and I'll show you the view. So here's the very quick sketch that I did. For me, sketching, especially like in a city like this, is more about capturing a feeling and like a quick impression. So that we have a lot of things to see today, and I don't want to take too much time trying to capture all of the little details, especially because there's so much to see here. And now we're going to walk across the bridge that I just drew. So my friend Fan just told me that this is called 9 Turnings Bridge because, as you can see in the pathway here, there's 9 little turns that go across the water. Fan and I are a little confused because it does seem like there are more than 9 turns here. Okay, so we have finished the 9 or more turns of the bridge, and I think now we're going to go to a post station so that I can write some postcards to friends back home and around the world. There is lots of shopping everywhere in this garden. Because it is very hot, Fan suggested that we should get some tea. So we're gonna stop to get some iced tea here. It's tea time. Thank you.
Still milk tea with pu'er tea leaves.
Oh, great. Fan ordered me a type of black tea here, and it's very tasty. It tastes a little bit like ice cream. It's milk tea, and it really hits the spot. And we walked into one of these stores here, which is a postcard store. So I can pick out some images to send. And I found these postcards, which actually seem to be the same image that I just drew. So I think I'm going to send these to my friends. I'm also going to get this little I Love Shanghai fridge magnet. I'm paying with Alipay. Recording. We are back walking around, and there are lots of other people taking pictures and videos here. I found a very creative store that has lots of different types of vases and also some beautiful artwork. Fan tells me that this is a very well-known candy brand in Shanghai called White Rabbit. It has lots of different flavors. This is the kind of thing that I like to notice, where there's really old ancient architecture, and then on the top there we have cellular antennas. If I had more time, I'm always noticing so many things that would be fun to draw, like this ceiling right above me. And next we're going into the temple portion of the garden. And the first thing I notice here is the smell of incense, which is right in the middle of the courtyard. And so in this temple, there's a few different places where you can go and pray for various purposes, like for wealth or to find true love. Now we're walking into the main palace, which is under maintenance on the outside. And this here is the statue of the city god. I often wonder how all of this stuff that's so old is still around and in such good condition, but it's because a lot of maintenance work goes into it. And if you look closely, you can always see evidence of that. People repairing roofs and keeping the buildings in good shape. Okay, so now we are on our way to a hot pot restaurant to meet with another author that came here for International Literary Week. Because he is leaving this afternoon, so we have to get to the restaurant quickly. Now we are in a cab on the way to Hot Pot, and I'm always impressed by people's ability to navigate the city, because it is huge and there's lots of traffic. So we're back in a downtown district walking into a mall to meet Jonathan. And I'll have him introduce himself and his book when we get there. Hi, I'm here with Jonathan, who is another author here for Shanghai International Literary Week, and he can introduce himself and his book.
Hello, as Dan said, I'm Jonathan Slatt. I'm a biologist and an author. I'm here at the Literary Week, supporting my book Owls of the Eastern Ice, which is translated into Mandarin a few years ago. It's a book about my work researching an endangered owl species in the Russian Far East, not too far from northeast China.
It's great. We're going to eat some hot pot. I was told that this is fried milk. Do I dip it?
I don't think so.
Just eat it? Still getting the hang of chopsticks.
Yes, that's why, yeah, absolutely.
So this is.
This is very good, and we have aprons now. We're going to get some sauces. Red chili oil. Making one spicy, one not spicy. Okay.
I'm gonna be a little thick. Yeah, I think you need to go down one.
Spicy.
Beef.
Yeah.
Type of beef. Lots of different options. Getting used to the chopsticks.
How are the sauces?
Sauces are good. The spicy one isn't too spicy. I like it. All right, 7 down, 8 up.
Or is it 7 up, 8 down?
7, 8.
It's 7 up.
7 up, 8 down.
8 down.
Okay, I need help with that. It's hard to do small bite. Wow, what a texture. Very spicy. I think the spicy beef is my favorite so far. How about you?
I think I like the fish
The fish? Yeah.
quite a lot. Yeah, my first bite I think was too spicy.
Yeah.
After that,
It's figuring out just how spicy is the best.
So this is the pasta noodle for you.
Oh.
Yeah. I think it can be hot, so yeah, you can.
Alright, now I'm gonna eat the noodles, which have been sitting in the spicy sauce.
Oh, it's break time for
Yeah.
for it.
Always great time for cats.
The noodles are delicious. Jonathan told me that there's a robot cat patrolling the restaurant, but apparently it's resting now, which is very cat-like of it. Have some greens. Also, I was told we missed the robot cat when I went to the bathroom, but hopefully it will be back.
So we're here having our hot pot, and there's a noise at the door. And the door opens, and it's a robot cat that brings us food and says meow.
It sounds pretty great.
It's crazy.
All right, what did you think of Hot Pot?
I loved it. I had the restaurant knew it was my birthday, and so they brought me longevity birthday noodles, which were delicious, and just trying the different styles, the different spiciness, different kinds of beef, vegetables. It was really good.
Yeah.
What did you think?
I felt the same way. This is actually only my second time having Hot Pot, and the first time was yesterday. So it's great to see how many different things you can cook in Hot Pot. I really loved the noodles, and I loved the spicy beef. And of course the greens as well.
Yeah, and all brought to us by a cat robot.
Yeah, amazing. Okay, we are wrapping up food now, and Jonathan is catching a plane to southern China. Bye, Jonathan. Now we've walked out of the mall and onto Nanjing Street, which is a big shopping street full of lots of people. We're walking through a little underground tunnel here that also serves as entrance and exits to the subway station. And here we're walking briefly through People's Park. Okay, back underground now. So again, these are like underground tunnels that are used to get around, I guess, when it's really hot. That's why we're down here. But you can also take the subway from here.
Urban Planning Exhibition Center is official.
So we're going to the Shanghai Urban Planning Exhibition Center next. We're taking this underground route because there's air conditioning, which is always good when it's hot in Shanghai in the summer. The whole metro map. This is where we're headed, the Shanghai Urban Planning Exhibition Center. So without leaving the underground tunnels, we are now coming to the Urban Planning Museum, which I'm excited about given what I like to make work about. And we are here in the Shanghai Urban Planning Exhibition Center. So I was really excited to hear that a museum like this existed that would give a sense of how Shanghai developed. Like one of the reasons I made my book Hidden Systems was to give people a general understanding of how these systems and cities develop over time. But one of the most interesting things about traveling to different cities is being able to learn like what's specific about certain cities. So I'm going to look around here and I'm going to see what I can learn about how Shanghai developed. And all of the wall information is in Mandarin, so I have a little guide here that has English translations for me. So I've actually found that some of these information on the wall are actually translated into English, so that makes it easier to understand as well. This is always like one of my favorite things to come across in museums, which is like a wall that shows the trajectory of a city over time in a visual way. To me, it feels kind of like comics and kind of like what I do, and it like really gives you a sense of how something developed. So there's a lot of floors and exhibits in this museum that talk about just how Shanghai has developed, and also sort of plans for the future of the city and how to grow, but also sort of like maintain a very large urban environment in a sustainable way. And this particular area is talking a bit about the idea of like 15-minute community, which is like a concept that I know of from urban planning in general, that like within like a 15-minute walk you should have basic access to certain amenities like groceries, going to the gym, green space, and things like that. So this room has been fun to explore. It has a lot of miniature models of different parts of the city, which I think can really like bring it to life in a fun way and allow me to like feel like I'm really like exploring it from a different perspective. Because like a lot of the work that I do is about understanding infrastructure and showing it, an early waterworks in Shanghai that was built in the 19th century, and you can see that it's like very sort of like well fortified, and also just takes up a lot of space because water infrastructure in general often takes up a huge amount of land. I also loved the way that this model was set up, that shows a more zoomed out view and then a closer up view to let us see the scene in a lot more detail. So there's a lot to see in this museum. There's like 5 different floors, but we're going to kind of move through it so that we can continue exploring today. Here's another part that was interesting to me. I knew before coming here that Shanghai was one of the largest cities in the world, but it is the largest port city in the world. And supply chains and shipping is one of the topics that I'd like to look at for the next book. So it's cool to see these miniature models of Shanghai's deep water port. And I think interesting to think about like how so much of what we buy and get delivered to our doorsteps like passes through ports in Shanghai and ports like this around the world. This is kind of a fun exhibit that you can see behind me of like city streets and buildings projected on to this giant screen that's curved around, so it feels kind of like augmented reality. You can see there's a lot of kids having a good time watching it. So that was a really interesting museum. I learned a lot about how Shanghai developed and what the government here is planning for the future for the city. And it's something that I really wanted to learn about for the research for my book, and going to a museum like this with a lot of interactive exhibits, miniature models, is a lot more interesting than reading a textbook. So it was a really great way to learn about things. Our next stop is walking through People's Park to go to another history museum. We were just laughing because we saw that there was a roller coaster in the park and there was a bunch of kids screaming very loudly, and we were trying to figure out if they're having a good time or if they're terrified. We're walking through the park, and guess who we found? Little cat resting on the rock, very sleepy. It's very, very hot today, and this seems like a pretty good idea. I'm a little jealous. This is actually the second or third place I've seen cats in just hanging out in public places here. Yesterday I visited a Buddhist temple, and there was a lot of cats just hanging out around people praying. So we're approaching the Shanghai History Museum now, and you can hear these We think it's cicadas in the background. They're very loud. They just all started off at once. All right, leaving the park now and entering over to the museum. So we're in the museum now. Fan just said that we have some volunteers here who are teenagers that are guiding people around. Okay, so because there's not a lot of English translations on here, I was given these glasses that when I look at certain exhibits, it will translate them for me and it will appear on the glasses. It just has like a little movie. It probably looks very silly, but it's just like a video screen that plays movies.
名字呢叫做糖金床，它是一个模型，名字叫做糖金床。根据这个视频可以看到，原件呢是位于松江的中山小学中的。
Mr. Luminaire.
Because his name is 徐光启 and 光 means light.
Ah, so we're making our way through the museum, and this was a really cool thing to see. I love seeing early maps and how people depicted the Earth before we had satellites to see what it actually looked like.
这一只狗代表的是英国占领长江流域，包括这个香港它的殖民地。
So when the Qing dynasty was overthrown,
In 1919.
Oh, okay, yeah. I understand. Okay, yeah. So we finished the tour, which was very interesting. It's a period of history that I only knew a little bit about and is fascinating to hear from the Chinese perspective. It covered a history of the region, specifically of Shanghai, from thousands of years ago, up until about 1950. And now we have emerged on the roof of the museum, where we have this like wonderful view of Shanghai as it is today. There's so many details in this building.
It's 5 o'clock. So, 这是刚刚这个是的，东方放生。 Hold up more. So this is the building that we were just in, the History Museum. Postcard here that shows it different moments in time. And this was the building that I wanted to sketch because it has so many nice little details in the architecture. And like I was saying before when I was sketching, it would take way too long to fit every little detail into a drawing. So the point is to try to get it done as quickly as I can, while also sort of capturing the essence of a building without it looking exactly like a photograph and having a little bit more energy to it. Okay, so we are leaving this area now. Later, we are going to visit the Bund. Okay, we're heading to our last stop now, which is the Bund, and we're going to take the metro. And tickets right here. Okay, we are leaving the metro now and going outside the street. And our last stop tonight will be to go to the Bund, which is the waterfront where the buildings are all lit up. So right now I'm walking along what's called Suzhou Creek, even though it's a river. And this is pretty close to the hotel that me and the other authors are staying at. It's a really nice little area to walk. You can see there's lots of people out at night. There's maybe more people out at night than during the day because it's a lot cooler now. So we're still walking along Suzhou Creek, and it looks like they're filming a movie behind us. And we might not actually go all the way to the Bund, because if we stay a little bit closer, get some really nice views of the bridges over the creek as well. All right, so this is our final destination of the tour today. I've had a really good time exploring the city. I really wasn't sure what to expect coming to Shanghai when I was invited here with the other authors. I live in a very small town, so it's about the opposite of Shanghai. But I've had a really great time. Over the course of just a few days, I've learned a lot about the city, eaten really, really good food, learned a lot of history that probably couldn't learn anywhere else. And it's been really great to be here for the book fair as well. If you're interested in learning more about cities and some of the systems that I talked about earlier, please check out my work. My name is Dan Nott. My website is dannott.com, and my book is called Hidden Systems: Water, Electricity, the Internet, and the Secrets Behind the Systems We Use Every Day. Thank you so much, and see you next time.